Hi, everybody. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
And on this Camp Report Show, Bob, we are going camping in Canada. We are going north of the border to see our friends in Canada. How about you?
We've got Sandy Ellingson, our good friend from the outdoor hospitality industry. She's launching a new community called The Hub. She's going to tell us all about it.
There we go. Plus all the news of the week. Where do we get that news?
Rick Hessler at RV Business, Ben Quiggle at Woodall's Campground Magazine. We couldn't do it without them.
Couldn't do it without them. We'll be back with those stories and more right here on the Camp Report Show. RV enthusiasts require specialized insurance and warranty solutions. RVerinsurance.com and Wholesale Warranties stand prepared to address the distinct health insurance, RV insurance, and RV warranty needs of every RVer. Renowned for its exceptional service in offering health insurance for RVers who often venture beyond their coverage zones, RVerinsurance.com has partnered with Wholesale Warranties to ensure a similar standard of expertise and attention when procuring an RV extended warranty for your new or pre-owned travel trailer, fifth wheel, or motorhome. So start securing your peace of mind today by visiting wholesalewarranties.com/RVer insurance or RVerinsurance.com. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the news segment here on the Camper Report Show. And Bob, there's some interesting new products coming out, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But first, we want to see that, it's funny, we report statistics every month about shipments and registrations. And last month, shipments went up, but we're getting, evidently, registrations lag for a period of time because the product has to sit on the dealer shelf, if you will, the dealer's lot for a while. But I read that May registrations are down about 16%, even though their shipments were up.
Yeah. Well, that's because they're wholesale shipments, so that means they're sitting
Right.
on the
The
dealer's
dealer
lots.
lots. Right.
Yeah, this is not a good sign because May shipments should be good. You're coming right off the show season, the open houses, and people get ready for Memorial Day and hitting the road. So you'd like to see those numbers going in the other direction. But yeah, it was down, down 16%, like you said, but it's only 38,000 units. But a year, we're down also 150,000 units in 2024, which is about a 10.4% decrease from 2023. So we're going in the wrong direction. It's going to make the estimated shipments of about 325,000 units. It might be a challenge to make that number. And the interesting thing was every category was down. Travel trailers were down 26%. 12%. Fifth wheels were down 16%. Camping trailers down 29%. Park models, which we love, are down 42%. And that's crazy. Class A's are down 20%. Class C's down 22%. Class B's and van campers down 29.8%. So,
Right.
and they give some Canadian figures, but those are surprising. I would have thought that, and we had hoped that the market was starting to turn up, but that may be showing some interpretation on the consumer spending side. And they're waiting, we get a tough political challenge coming up here to see what's happening with the country, and the inflation is lasting a little bit longer than people would like. So the plus side, when numbers are down, when sales are down, you get great bargains.
It's the time to buy.
There's
When there's
no
a lot
question.
on the lot and end of the month, go on over there, start your shopping on the 25th, complete it on
Exactly.
the 30th, and
Right.
go from there. So
Yeah.
one of the cool things that you're seeing on the lot, and I think we saw them during the show season this past winter, is this Coachman Catalina Epic. If that's the one that we saw that had a lot
No,
of
no,
glass.
we saw the Forest River one. This one is, in fact, they were taping the video and writing the article with the first two that were coming out of the factory, at the Coachman factory. This is very creative, but it's got some pluses and some minuses. Called the 283 Epic with panoramic views. So what they've done, think of a fifth wheel. that has the back living room and fireplace and all of that stuff, and the deck out the
Yep.
back.
Out the
They,
back.
they've taken that theme and pushed it down to a travel trailer. So you start at the front with the traditional bed. In the middle, you've got your kitchen and bathroom. So when you get to the back, you've got a very big couch in the back, but they've taken sliders and to put them on two sides. And then you have the slider in the back. So you got three sliders around the room.
Hmm.
And I think they're pushing it a little bit too early because they're using traditional slider doors because they didn't find anybody that could make a solid glass panel
Oh,
to go in
well,
there. So people can play around with the sliding glass door. In fact, they even suggested that people glue the seam of the door because you don't want some kid going out and opening a slider when you're 6 feet off the ground.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
I like the concept. You got a lot of glass, and it's kind of a mini destination trailer. So you could travel it all around when you want, but you could put it on a lot. You could put it out on the lake and have a nice scenic view. So it's got some interesting. They didn't talk about pricing. The other thing they did, and I think we might start seeing more of this, is on one side of the living room, above the couch, they actually have a projector, not a television. And on the other side, on the sliding door, they have a glass screen, a downward screen that you pull down. So you watch your TV and your movies that way. And we haven't seen that yet, even on some of the more expensive ones. So it remains to be seen how that's going to go. But we got some video clips that will show what that can do. It's going to be very interesting to see how the public responds to it. But they're just coming out with it now, so they'll do a big thing with it at dealer open house in September. So I don't think consumers will see it until the January shows, the consumer shows in the spring. They'll take it around, show the dealers, they'll have it at dealer open house to write orders and get the manufacturing going, but you're not going to be able to buy it this week.
yeah, exactly. So the other thing that we're seeing a lot of talk about is, I'm seeing more the cyber truck more and more. I've seen four or
Yep.
five on the highway lately,
Yeah.
and just driving around in regular traffic. And now the cyber trailer is hitting the street from living vehicles. I just had a chance to scan that. You're going to have to tell me more about this thing
Well, it's
because
kind of
it's
interesting.
fascinating.
Not for the faint of heart. We're talking big dollars here. Living vehicles make some fifth wheel, some pretty expensive fifth wheel trailers, double decker trailers that are in the $250,000 range. But they announced that they were going to make a cyber trailer to go with the cyber truck, and now they're just releasing the information, so it's not available yet. It pushes, they push in the boundaries of mobile living and travel because there's nothing like it. They've got enough solar power on this rig, the the same amount as you would have on a residential home. And these are designed to get off the road and big solar tracking systems in the awnings, mobile charging, fully compatible electric any tow vehicle combustion. They have the self-driving wheels, which a lot of these electric trailers are starting to come out with. So you're not putting a range inhibitor on the things themselves. It's the only way they're going to sell them with electric vehicles. They're going to have to
Yep.
be able to be range neutral, and if it says 300, get them 300. That I've seen that design now on 3 electric trailers, and it does reduce the anxiety of going out on the road. But as you've testified many times to your own,
Well,
just going with a little car,
yep.
it's still gonna be a challenge.
There's no question that we are, I say, 5 to 7 to 10 years away from full utilization of electric vehicles, unless they get canned altogether. I mean, with the new president, with the new elections coming in, who's going to know if Trump wins? Is he going to scrap all the electric stuff? Is he going to throw out all the Biden
He
stuff?
won't scrap it, but he'll get rid of all the regulations
Yep.
and the incentives for
Yep.
people to make them over that, and certainly will make some changes in the fossil fuel distribution.
Yep.
They claim that they're all electric system, recharges using both solar power and a backup power generator. So that would make me believe that unless you're in a rare circumstance, you may not need the charging station, that there's so much charging power within the vehicle itself. And like I said, it doesn't come cheap. You can order them now with $100 deposit, but they're going to start at $175,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not, look at, if you want to buy a travel trailer, and the reason travel trailers own 80% of the industry is that you can get into them for 15, 10, 15, $20,000 if you want to, go from a pop-up to a hybrid.
Right.
But I still maintain that we are not ready to be electrified only because of the fact that not the product itself that's not working well. It's the grid system. It's not ready for prime time. It's not even ready for the small number of people that we have out there now, let alone doubling or tripling, because you're going to see fights and stabbings and murders at what do you call it,
Yeah.
at charging stations, and I've already encountered that. So you know what? Lots of new products. The good thing about bad times is that it makes the industry, regardless of what the industry is, look to alternatives to the status quo.
Right. They
So,
get creative. So this is two good examples of the creativity that we're going to see as we go deeper into the year.
so there we go. New products and new destinations and a whole new things. And we've got a great show lined up for tonight. And where'd you get the news? Where'd you get this news that we just talked about?
At RV Business with Rick Kessler and Ben Quiggle at Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Right. And because of Ben Quiggle, I'm going to be heading to Canada in a week and a half or so and camping up there. And our interview is a direct result of the fact that Ben hooked me up with Kara. And you know what? We all play together in the same sandbox here.
Well, hopefully the weather will normalize and we won't have hurricanes, floods, and heat indexes at half the country, three-quarters of the country are under that heat wave.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking
hopefully
out now and I see the backside of the leaves, so that means we got thunderstorms coming, I'm told, and I'm looking forward to it to break this heat. So that's the story. And stay with us. We got a great show right here. Where, Bob?
On the Camper Report Show.
Attention, RV owners. Don't let roof damage rain on your parade. Discover RV Roof Magic, the industry-leading RV roof sealant for restoring and protecting your RV roof. Over a 30-year history of success, our advanced solvent-based formula chemically cross-links to your existing roof, making them one in the same. RV Roof Magic never needs a primer and only requires one coat. It provides superior waterproofing and durability, ensuring years of worry-free travel. Say hello to a leak-free future and goodbye to costly repairs with RV Roof Magic, your partner in RV roof care, and a 10-year warranty as well. Visit rvroofmagic.com/RVlife and extend your roof another 18 to 20 years.
All right, welcome back everybody to the Camper Report Show, and our special guest today is good friend Sandy Ellingson. Sandy, it's been a while since we've had you on the show, but I wanted to get you back because I know you got a couple of exciting things coming on the horizon here. So tell us what you've been up to.
Well, we have been diligently working for the last several years on a platform that, in short, we just call it the Hub. And it comes out of my passion of being able to connect the RV industry, which in my mind, that is the manufacturers and the suppliers, people like Lippert and Dometic, and then Winnebago and Forest River and Alliance, connecting that group of people with my campgrounds across the United States. There are so many areas where we have opportunities. And if we were working together, we could fulfill those in a quicker, better way, but there was no direct connection platform. And so with my background in technology, it just intrigued me. And so it was one of those things I really wanted to do. And so we've literally been working on it off and on for about 4 years. And then 100% of our time has pretty much in the last 6 months. And so we launched it on July the 2nd. And so we just a soft launch with about, we invited a couple thousand parks. We have 1,105 right now that are participating. And then, coming next will be some of our dealerships and some of the suppliers and the manufacturers. And then my arm was twisted. And so we're actually going to bring in some RVers even.
Now, did you say what this is called?
It's called the Hub.
The Hub.
That's right. Yeah. And we are there's a lot of hubs out there. So it is, if you're looking for the app in the app stores, it's the RV Hub. But if our website, it's the Hub for RVers. So it's the hub for RVers.com. The somebody has an app in the app store somewhere that has something that they feel is conflicting with our own name. So we just said the RV Hub, and that's, people seem to be finding it. It's only been out there a few days, and several people have downloaded it, and we haven't even marketed it yet. So people are definitely finding it.
But we will definitely put the link down below. You know what I love about this? The industry often for years used to say that they were like a three-legged stool, and meaning the manufacturers, the dealers, and the suppliers.
Right.
And you and I have talked many times over the last many years we've known each other, that why isn't it four? Because the big thing that's missing there is campgrounds. And what do campgrounds bring to the industry? If somebody buys an RV, whether they like the RV or not, whether they like the lifestyle or not, is going to be dictated by the experience in the campground.
Yeah, I've always said that the campgrounds are the heart of the industry. Everybody else are arms and legs and framework and nerve systems, but the campgrounds are the heart, because that is the place where the camper connects with another person. They're in and out of a dealership. They may never meet the person that manufactured their rig or any of the suppliers, but they will always come in contact with a campground somewhere, somehow.
So how do you envision the RV Hub working amongst, as you first bring in the manufacturers and suppliers and what have you? How is it going to work?
So there's two major components to what we're doing inside the Hub. One is a more social component, but we're not trying to be Facebook or YouTube, but it does have the same type feel or functionality as a Facebook. You can go in, you can create your profile, you can make friends, you can direct message people, you can upload images, all those kinds of things. You can also create groups. We also go a step further, and we have forums. So if I hate in groups in Facebook where the group is there and there's all these conversations going on, but you don't want to be a part of you just want to be a part of one. So we have forums, and forums are the conversation, right? Not the group. And so it's easy to jump in and out of a forum and be a part of conversations that you want to be a part of. So that is like we say that the Hub is to connect, communicate, collaborate, and innovate. So that is the connect and communicate side of it, right? It sets it up so that we can find the right people to connect with. Then the collaborate and innovate side comes in on the other big portion of the code. Is the base is like a learning management system, but we've tweaked it so that we're using it in a very unique way. So we do actually have where people can go in and create educational content if they want to. But the secret sauce is our opportunities. And so what an opportunity is let's say that you have a dealership, and maybe that dealership is maybe you have 6 locations. Well, what if your dealership wanted to connect with a specific type of park? The problem has always been, well, how do I know which ones to connect with? I mean, you can get on Google Maps and you can find them, but you don't know if it's a transient park, if it's a long-term stay park. Is this really the right kind of park? Do they get the traffic? Are they going to welcome me trying to connect with them? So the dealership that's a part of the Hub could literally go in and say, I want to create an opportunity. And then they can say, I am interested in connecting with 20 parks that are within 350 miles of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and welcome transient guests. And then there's a way that they can describe what the opportunity is. So let's say they're looking to do what we call maiden voyages. So when somebody comes in and buys a rig, they want to offer an opportunity to go to a campground and do like an educational weekend. And they can either train somebody that goes out to the park and does these. A lot of times you can find retired RVers that are happy to do this, or they can send one of their staff out there. But now all of a sudden there's this partnership between the campground, and the campground will benefit because they're getting that night booked. But there's also the ability for this dealership to make sure that that camper is educated, and therefore and starts beginning to be invested in them because they're building that relationship. That's the power.
That's an incredible thing, because, you know, most of my experience, certainly as the executive director of the New England RV Dealers Association, dealers are near and dear to my heart. And then sometimes I'm disenchanted when I have conversations where dealers in a town that may have 2 or 3 campgrounds don't exchange notes or communicate with the campground. And there's an opportunity there for dealers to set up mini exhibits or have an open house in the campground.
That's right.
If you got a campground that's got 300 people, 300 sites, and you can take a couple of units up there, they're pre-qualified prospects. You don't even have to sell them on being in the RVs. And the same thing against the campground. You know, the campground should be making opportunities or having, and I know some, and actually a lot do, but where that when somebody buys a new RV, the dealer gives them 2 or 3 nights at a local campground, hopefully to have the shakedown cruise, hopefully to come back and do it. Would you consider that to be one of the primary benefits as far as the dealers are concerned, or as far as the RV hub in general?
I think there's a lot of really good benefits. What I've tried to do, because of my background in technology, I've got connections everywhere. And so I can do a lot of things for a lot less money than other people can do. So we've got some really amazing bells and whistles inside the hub. And so let's say that a dealership wants to do training that is specific to their dealership for their new employees they're onboarding, right? So they can literally create their own training and have it restricted to just their employees. But guess what? There's a lot of other educational content out there that they might not even know how to create themselves. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a dealership and there's a salesperson that when I start talking as a seasoned RVer, half the words I'm saying they don't understand. Well, we have some really fun trainings that they can sit and go through, and they can hear how an RVer talks, what's the language they use, what's our culture, learn all kinds of things. We even go into some things about like how to help the customer that's upside down. We've got some really interesting partnerships to help them sell to the customer who is upside down, and they're winning them for life when they do this. So these are things that they can have their own, but they can also open up any of the training that is in the hub to any of their staff members. And so from an educational standpoint, from a connection standpoint, from a resource standpoint, we've licensed Zoom and a lot of other tools to do webinars with. They have access to do live webinars. So they can, and everything is permissive in the hub. And by permissive, I mean anybody that's in there gets the ability to say, yes, I'm interested in this, or you don't get bombarded with stuff. So for instance, on that situation where you're looking for campgrounds, well, when that campground logs in, they're going to see, the first thing they see is the new opportunities that were created that match their profile. So they see it, they know about it, but they have an opportunity to click through and say, yes, I want to participate, or no, I'm just not interested. Same thing with some of our RVers that are in the hub. They don't have direct access to the RVers. We're not a sales tool or a marketing tool. We're an education and communication tool. But if that RVer wants to participate in some of these things, that once they make that connection, now it's a permissive connection. And so it's just great to be able to connect with these people, to ask questions, to work on projects together. Just the other day, we have 3 parks, 3 completely different areas of the country. Now, they've been involved before we launched because they're helping me test things. But they really wanted to do a very high-end professional marketing video. And for a 15-second video, it was going to be almost $10,000. Well, they could not afford $10,000 individually, but because they're far enough away in similar parks, they are splitting that cost. So they basically created an opportunity with other parks, said, hey, we want to do a video. Anybody interested in sharing the cost? Found 2 others. And now they're each paying $3,300, but they're getting the whole video, full rights to it. And nobody's going to see it because they're using this to run traditional marketing ads.
Sure.
So,
One of the problems when you and I get together is we both like to talk too much. My guest today is Sandy Ellingson, industry expert, technology expert, campground consultant. We only have about a minute left, Sandy. So what else would you like to say to the folks? And I'm going to put the logos, the websites, the URLs, everything down below for them to make contact with you or the hub. But you've worked on this now for a couple of years. So what are your aspirations when we get to December 31st? Where do you hope you're going to be?
Well, we've already exceeded our campgrounds. We had hoped for 1,000 campgrounds by the end of the year, and we've got 1,005 or 1,105. I'm sorry. And we would really love to have about 200 industry partnerships or members in the hub. We wanted 50 subject matter experts. We've already surpassed that with a waiting list. So, and the RVers has been only the last 2 months have we been planning for that. So we honestly don't know what to expect. But we'll be happy with any of that. And the cool thing on the industry side is we're absolutely free through the end of this season. So you can take advantage of all the things in the hub, try it out, see if it makes sense for you. We just ask you give us feedback because we're a new app.
Right.
And so there's no loss, but I do believe it's really going to help us pull together and be stronger.
That's fantastic. Hey, I appreciate you taking time. I know you're really busy, and congratulations on launching it. We've had conversations about it, so the big day is here, and we'll certainly support you and let people know what you're up to.
Yep. Well, thank you so much, Bob.
All right. Thanks, Sandy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. My name is John DePietro, and welcome back to the Camper Report Show. Today, we are going north of the border, and we are visiting our friends in Canada. And with me today is Cara Sismadia, who is the president of, I got to make sure I get this right, Canadian Campground and RV Association. But is it changing to council? Are you changing the name of the organization?
No, we actually went the opposite. So we were council.
Okay. I knew there was a big
yeah, we just went through a rebrand earlier this year, really just addressing some misconceptions around what the word council entailed or meant for us. So we've moved to an association to better and more clearly outline kind of who we represent, and that we're really an industry focused organization that stands in support of business operators and campground owners across the country.
You know, the interesting thing, Cara, that you mentioned is I think that you are the most, I guess the word would be inclusive organization about the camping and RV industry, because you cover the campgrounds, you cover, tourist bureaus, and you cover the Canadian RV, RV in Canada, as well as the Canadian RVDA. And I don't think there is an American counterpart that is as inclusive as you guys.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, obviously it gives us a significant benefit in terms of really joining our voices together in a collective way that makes sure, given our, inherent interdependence, it makes sure that all of the stakeholders are kind of as spokes of one wheel, and we're all really kind of moving down the same path together. And we want to ensure longevity and success. And I think the best way for us to do that, certainly here in Canada in this market, is to really align with one another and make sure that we're carrying the same messaging and uniting a voice to get that stuff across.
You must be reading my notes, because I've said that all along, that interdependence on each other. You buy the RV, but what do? Put it in your yard? No. Okay. You have a campground. What, do you have a campground without RVs? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So we talk about RVs, there's still tenting and that type of thing, but
absolutely.
the RV part is
yeah. We're very fortunate because our RV component of the industry, the manufacturer and dealer associations, have been so incredibly supportive. They've had that big picture idea about that since long before this organization was even created, and at the same time are very supportive of outdoor hospitality and its other components as well, the glamping and we're seeing so many operators expand into new and unique and diverse experience delivery that it really impacts the industry as a whole still, and I'm grateful for that kind of big picture perspective that they all bring to the table here.
One of the unique things that you as an individual bring to the table, and you don't see this in the US much, is that you've actually owned a campground.
Yeah, I did. I spent 12 years running. I owned a 200 site RV campground just outside the city behind you, actually, just outside of Calgary, Alberta. Certainly, some seasonal components there. Yeah, it's right that way. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, there, the operating season up here is a little different. The market dynamic is interesting in some ways, but it was a wonderful, amazing experience, really shaped my career, obviously, but also my experience with parenting young children and building a career at the same time, and all of those things that fostered a lifestyle that, I can't be beat. I'm so grateful I had the opportunity.
Well, tell us how big camping in Canada is. And we should say that campincanada.ca is would it be your consumer site as well?
Yes, absolutely. We definitely have consumer resources there. We do have a really great partnership with Go RVing Canada. They're yet another one of our organizations that sits at the table with us and really works on the consumer resource side component of all of this. I think there's so much content that can be covered that it's really valuable to us to have a dedicated group like that who's able to really focus there and serve the consumer really, really well. And so we're grateful for that. That's gorving.ca. That's a valuable, amazing resource for things like trip planning, looking at suggested trips. They've got all kinds of influencers going on trips all over the place all the time. So, they're a great consumer resource, but we do have stuff at our own site as well. How big the industry is, you ask? We had 7.7 million RV trips taken in 2023 here by Canadians here. So okay. Yes. So there's a significant amount of traffic on the road. We have 14% of Canadians who are RV owners. I actually just spent time last week at a conference of municipal officials, and one of the elected guys in one of our regions up here told me he owns 4 RVs himself. So, maybe those numbers are a little bit wonky because of a few guys like that, but for 14% of Canadian households to own an RV, I think is significant. We absolutely are working on, market growth and things like that. But I will note we have a massive fleet of rentals. So we see a lot of European traffic.
Oh, they fly in.
Yes, my campground specifically, back in the days when I was running that business, we saw 30% or more of our annual business coming from Germany, other places around Europe and Asia, using the rental fleet. So those were significant contributors to my business success for sure. And then obviously, I think, the American traffic is incredibly valuable to us. We just narrowly averted potential kind of concerns about summer. We had our CBSA, our Canadian Border Service Agency, potentially talking job action and maybe some strike activities. So there was concern brewing about some of that, but it sounds like they've averted that and have come to an agreement now with the unions and all of that. So those things hopefully won't impact us for 2024, but we certainly see a ton of American traffic come up in the summer months. That Alaska Highway is a big deal. We've got lots of campground members along that route that really rely on that traffic, as well as, all over the lower kind of portions of the country along the parallel there, along the border. So,
The
it's
Alaska Highway thing is interesting because there's if you're going from the U.S. to Alaska, a good portion of your trip is in Canada.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's stunningly beautiful. We have some incredible campground experiences along that route. I think it's a once in a lifetime, at least for me, it was a once in a lifetime experience to do that and have that experience in the summertime. I know the window to experience it while it feels like summer is short, but it's really stunning.
Yeah. And having visited both ends of Canada from Nova Scotia all the way to British Columbia, and wherever people are watching this video from the East Coast to the West Coast of the US, or obviously on the internet anywhere in the world, at least as far as the US is concerned, here's a new phrase I made up. I'm going to let y'all use it.
Amazing.
Canada, so close yet so different. And when you go into, I think people make the mistake of thinking that Canada is Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal, and maybe Halifax, but the small towns that you run into are just that. I hate to use the word charming because it's an overused word in the tourism business, but there's some really cool little towns where you're not dealing with chains, with restaurants and food stores and that type of thing. Talk a little bit about not the city camping, but going out into the countryside and what can people expect to see in Canada?
Well, I think number one, we have maybe I'm biased, but the most beautiful country in the world in terms of our scenery and nature and the complex kind of topography available here. So you can see a lot of different types of terrain throughout of even just one trip, depending on where you're heading. But I also think, Canadians are very known for our hospitality and our kindness and all of those things. That stuff really goes a long way to making some of those experiences next level. And I would agree. I think we're pioneering some really cool stuff around incredible food and beverage experience. There's, great cideries and wineries and restaurants and all kinds of things in some really kind of unique spots that aren't necessarily, they're quite off the beaten path. I think we've got a really unique dynamic of diversity here in Canada that enables us to have or deliver a cool experience as well. Even in the smallest towns in the country, you can get great Indian food and have some unique experiences there. So all of those things I think come together to really make Canada an incredible destination. Obviously, we've got a lot of great camping opportunity, and that in itself is diverse. You can find a very off-road kind of backcountry unserviced site, and there are campers who love that. And you can also find, the RV park resorts with the pool and the swim up bar and the
Swim up bar. Yeah.
yeah, and all of those things. So, we're servicing a comprehensive and broad range of consumer expectation and needs and wants around what their trips look like, while they can still bring their home on wheels along with them, and get to kind of do things at their own pace, which is another, really valuable component to all
So
of
for
that.
those going from the US to Canada, talk a little bit about, number one, the exchange rate, border crossing requirements, if those have changed at all since COVID, and are things back to normal to the pre-COVID years numbers?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. We saw a bit of a boost last year. The cross-border travel bumped up a bit. We were still kind of hampered by that in 2022, but 2023 we saw those numbers coming back up. Which was nice to see because our domestic guys were able to then travel, and so that kind of made up for any shortfall there for operators. But yeah, border crossing requirements are kind of back to normal. You do need a passport to enter the country as an adult, and otherwise, I think most border crossings are receptive and eager to welcome visitors and want to bolster the tourism economy however possible. I think the dollar component, the currency exchange is really beneficial for you guys right now. Your dollar goes a lot further. We're looking at, I think, what did I see today? 72 or 73 cents. So,
About
there's
28,
about
30%, almost 30%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
basically,
exactly. So,
for those that are not as economically advanced as I am, if you buy something in Canada that costs $1 and spend it with American credit card, you'll be billed about 70 cents.
correct. Yes.
That effect. You know what? I can't believe that our time is just about over. Would you come back like later in the summer so that we can talk about what's going on in the fall?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be my pleasure. I actually have a couple of cool trips, so maybe we can line that up and I can do the interview in a campground.
Oh,
That would be
great, great, great. Well, we're coming up end of July and
I
stay
love
at Ellie's place and
good.
in just outside of Niagara Falls. So you
Yes.
were able to set that up along with my friend, Mr. Quiggle. And
Good.
so we'll be up there then. Then we're coming back in August to a big country music event up in Moncton.
Amazing.
So, and then maybe, as soon as they finish that darn construction at Montreal, we used to just go up to Montreal on weekends, but now you have to park like 20 miles outside of the city.
Yeah, that's a shame. I think, Quebec is such a stunning part of the country and really actually, quite frankly, has the most campgrounds of any other province in the country. And so there's lots of camping opportunity there. I mean, I could easily fill probably a month of camping there if I tried. So find a way.
Okay. So go RVing.ca.
Marketing.ca, yep.
Our
Great.
guides on that will give you a whole itinerary. You don't even have to think, just go to that. And it'll say, you want to be in Quebec, do you want to be in Ontario, do you want to be in British Columbia? And, 5 days, 12 days, 21 days, easy to spend that.
Oh yeah, we could fill it, no problem.
So anyway, Kara Sismadia, thank you so much. And we want to let you know that you are watching the Camper Report Show.